10. One autumn afternoon, my parents attended a funeral. I do not recall who had died. It does not matter, and it did not matter. It was deemed inappropriate for me to attend this funeral. I was not concerned. I found church services tedious, although I liked churches. I liked to look around them, especially the older ones, and climb into the pulpit and imagine giving my own sermon to the congregation. I hated being sat on a pew listening to some dry speech, and instead would entertain myself trying to catch the eye of those around me and draw a reaction to my face pulling. Anyway, that's an aside. I was spared attendance at the church, and instead, since the funeral was some way from where we lived, I was to go and be watched by friends of my parents and have my tea there. I was happy to do so. My friends' parents' children were also friends of my siblings and I. We all walked together from school to the relevant house, and as tea was being made, we played in the garden. I liked their garden. It was not as large as ours, but unusually it had a street lantern at the end of the path, which then reached the garden wall. Over the other side of this wall was the garden of a neighbour. The house to the left and the house to the right also had similar lanterns. I used to wonder if an old road had once cut through where the gardens were, and this was some remnant of that. There was an old garage in the garden, which was never used for the storing of the family vehicles, but rather became a storage place for old bottles, dust collecting pots, and hiding places. There was a rickety shed around one side of the house, some kind of outhouse, a half-built something or other at one end of the garden, an area of deep and overgrown bushes, and various inviting nooks and crannies, which would form the basis of the games that we played. It was during one game that I was huddled into one of these crannies, my back against an old brick wall, the soil beneath me still dry following a more or less rain-free September. As that month ended and crossed into October, the sky was grey, and a breeze moved about the garden. But tucked away amidst the bushes, with the wall acting as a windbreak, I was rather warm and certainly dry. The sounds of the other children could be heard elsewhere in the garden, but huddled up with me was Rebecca. She was the eldest daughter of the people whose care into which we had been passed for the afternoon and evening. She was an attractive girl, with clear blue eyes, slightly olive skin, and a strong chin. She was a year younger than I, and had been following me around during the afternoon, ensuring that she was on my team when it was required, supporting my suggestions, and behaving like what I would later come to recognize as a groupie. "I like it in here," she smiled at me as we sat side by side. "Nobody can find you when you are in here." "It is a good hiding place," I agreed. I turned and saw that she was looking at me, not wanting to look elsewhere. "I come here if they are shouting," continued Rebecca. "Who?" "Mother and father." "Oh, do they shout a lot?" I asked. "Sometimes. I don't know why. I don't like it. Do your mother and father shout, H.G.?" "My father doesn't," I explained. "My father does. My mother does." "Does it frighten you?" she asked. "No," I lied. I didn't want to appear scared in front of this admiring friend of mine. "Gosh, it scares me. Once I wet myself, I was so scared." I gave a short laugh, and she jabbed an elbow into my side. Once my laughter subsided, she carried on speaking. "I wanted to hide in here with you, H.G., she explained. I said nothing. I had learned that it was always better to use silence for the purposes of gaining further information from people rather than speaking. Somebody then shouted in the garden, and there was a noise that suggested a flurry of activity. Then it died away again. "Yes, I like you, H.G., said Rebecca. I looked at her, and something told me that I needed to do something. "Do you like me?" she asked. I had never given her much thought. I suppose I liked her as a friend. I liked the way she followed me around and agreed with what I said. I knew that I needed to do something to ensure she kept liking me. I remember seeing some drama on television, and I was struck by a comment that the man had made to the woman. For some reason, I don't know why, this comment sprang up in my mind, and before I could even consider it, my lips were moving and I was speaking. "I think your hand is just right for my hand," I said. I took hold of her hand. It was cool and soft, and I squeezed it. As I did, I saw something in her face. I was not really sure what it was that I saw, but whatever it was, made me feel good inside. "You can be my girlfriend," I suddenly declared. "Really?" she said enthusiastically. "Yes, but you must not tell anyone." "Why?" she asked. I saw her look puzzled, and again I felt good. "Because," I responded. I had learned from Matriarch that a declaration of "because" was enough to shut down any questioning. "Oh, okay," remarked Rebecca. This was easy. I remember thinking, I'm going to get myself another Rebecca, because it felt really rather good.